Hey guys, Joeboy here. Just posted my Bulbasaur rap, and so far that hasn't been so good. So, time to deflect. I got another theory for y'all today. This one is actually, I think, really cool and supported, and it ties neatly in with the last theory that I did, which was about Roger's will and the One Piece and all those things. I'll go ahead and link this in the description. But if you check out that theory, then this is going to be sort of a continuation of that, but it can be standalone as well. So here's the premise of the theory. The Oharans, the scholars from Ohara, have been able to somehow decipher the Poneglyphs. But if you actually think about how to decipher a language, there's really only one way. So a language that's been dead or has died, in the real world, this is how it works. You need a keystone or a Rosetta Stone. You need that language translated into another language that you do know, so that you can decipher what the language says. And in the case of the Poneglyphs, we're not aware of the characters on the Poneglyphs being translated into any other language, which means that it's really unclear how they actually, logically, deciphered what the characters on the Poneglyph meant. I don't know if anyone has ever tried to solve a cipher where you're given a bunch of characters and there's no clues as to what it is. It can be, those characters can stand for almost anything. It is literally impossible to decipher a crypt like that without some sort of key. And so this leads into my actual theory, which, as I said, if you watch the Roger's Will video, basically I say this. I say that Roger sort of planned to, he wanted people to find the Poneglyphs and ultimately discover the true history. I believe that is pretty well supported in a lot of the actions that he chose to do. For instance, starting the Great Pirate Age, and then setting up, creating the treasure One Piece and having people go and look for it. As well as it seems like he's told some people that were like Shanks and Whitebeard of this kind of person that he's looking for to sort of carry on his agenda in finding the Poneglyphs and doing something about what the Poneglyphs said. So I wonder if Roger did something else as well to increase the likelihood that someone may be able to find the One Piece, which is at least partly the real Poneglyph, and that might be to tell the curious scholars of Ohara what the Poneglyph in Ohara said. Remember, Roger he doesn't know what the characters mean that are on the Poneglyphs. He can just hear its voice. He can understand what it's trying to say. So I think maybe something that might have happened is, as Roger was traveling around the world and conquering the Grand Line, he came across the island of Ohara and found the Poneglyphs. And I think he might have told them, either maybe on purpose or maybe not, but I think it probably was on purpose, of what the Poneglyph actually said, so that the Oharan scholars could then work on, for the next few years after that, deciphering what each of the characters on the Poneglyph meant. I think that this is a really interesting idea. So what this would imply is that Roger was personally responsible for the destruction of the island of Ohara and the people that lived there. We even have a panel in which Rayleigh is talking to the Straw Hat crew, and the destruction of the island of Ohara is specifically brought up, and he says that it made him sick. I wonder if it makes him even more sick than we could possibly imagine, because he feels partly to blame for what happened to them. This could also be a sort of plot point going forward with Robin. If Robin somehow finds out that the Roger pirates told Ohara, basically gave them the forbidden fruit, which ultimately led to their demise, and how she would react to that. I assume that Robin would react to that positively, because she's just the kind of person that's always seeking knowledge. But at the same time, it could really affect her and her relationship with the Roger pirates if she knew that all of this could have been avoided by simply not telling the Oharans what was said on their Poneglyph. The last thing that I want to talk about here is that it's very interesting that Ohara was destroyed the same year that the Pirate King was killed. And so I think that this actually insinuates that maybe Roger started the Great Pirate Age immediately, or very near immediately, after Ohara was destroyed, because Ohara was some big component of his plan, and he had to switch to plan B, which was basically initiate the Great Age of Piracy to continue his hope of finding someone who will find the true history. I think that he had a lot of faith that the people of Ohara would, one, translate the poneglyphs after he explained it to them, and then two, somehow spread the knowledge of the poneglyphs to other places to sort of revive the history. And when Ohara was destroyed, I think that that plan was no longer good, and so he reverted to another plan, which was to sort of spam the oceans with pirates who could potentially run into the poneglyphs and might or might not have the voice of all things to translate it. But yeah, that's it. Pretty short theory, but I think really cool and interesting.